well, let's start out down here. Okay, guys. They really can't go anywhere, and they are too weak to... or too far off supply to get resupplied. We're going to resupply that. These guys... oh, yeah, you come down to here. We're going to rely upon you to... okay, we're going to see how this goes. Yeah. Those railway guns, yes, P and S. The other one is for partisans, and I have been very much looking at this right now. We've got him who's on the supply point, but keeping that partisan down. This guy is on this supply point, keeping this partisan down. He's staying back here to keep that one down here for the moment, and that kind of thing. So we are definitely trying with what we can. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. I think we're gonna, well, let's do this right. We have escorting air power. Yep, figured we'd have interceptors. That's why I was checking for escorting air power. Good, hit them. They hurt us somewhat. Okay, that didn't do any good. That's sort of why I had them go first, because they were going to be the least effective. Boom. Because I'd like to fully take this unit out. Good. Okay, well, he retreated. And they shattered. Very good. So the Soviet army just got its butt kicked. That's already attacked, so I don't know that I want to move that up. No other really air power in the region. Okay. Yeah, let's come up here, hit that core. And then hit that core. And then we're going to retreat. And these guys are going to come up and hopefully take that core out. Very good. Very good. Now I don't have anybody I can move in there. Damn. Damn, damn, damn. Oh well. These guys we're going to... I think 8 is strong enough to just leave it in place and get that organized up. StarCraft had not played that in a very long time. Okay, but I like it. Yeah, this, I'm really appreciative of, how do I put this? The focus on important elements that this is doing very well with. We're gonna get you guys just back. They're gonna come up. Okay, so we've made them blunder with that. That is good. That is not a good outcome. What is max? Okay, man, 8's good. 8 is, I would go survivable. No. No. Damn. This mud is just god-awful. I know I can operate, put the units on trains. I just don't know if I want to spend the MPP, if that's really going to be the success or failure of things. Okay, again, okay, we have that well taken care of. Okay, you guys keep coming up here, but keep in good supply lanes. And I think we'll move you up to here. Spread out. Usefulness. Yeah, reinforce, good. Well, no, they can't make it. We'll attack the fighters, even if we don't get any very good results. Okay, I'm just getting more and more curious. This unit, supply of 6. Okay, that's good. So let's force march him to there. Back up those possible attacks. Now down here, we're going to withdraw. Now we got well, we've been invaded before, so I don't want to lose Romania to an invasion. So we're going to keep those, and or Bulgaria. So we're going to keep those ports secure. Supply disaster. Yeah, we got supply disasters everywhere. We got supply disasters down here. Max only to 8, damn. Max only to 7 there. Now, can we invade? Okay, I think I'm going to wait for the better air, so, let's move back out to sea there. I think there's some submarines sailing around. And destroyers. So, boy, we are really beat up. Someday I hope to get the MPP to replace damage. Boy, boy. Hope you guys can feel my pain. Yes, we want the artillery up. Yeah. How strong would the reinforcements be to just 7? Oh, man. Yeah, 7's alright. We got artillery behind them now. That will do that, and let them knock on that unit, because we will be coming forward with more. Now that we can attack twice with our Italian armor, which is very good. Yeah, these guys are just going to hold on. Now down here, yeah, I think we're going to max this out. Good, we're to 10 now. If they want to attack either place here, we're doing well. Doing well there, so they're hitting me from not very strong positions. So Abyssinia is doing well. Now let's go see what we can do over here. Well, they're back to being in rain there, so they're sort of protected, but looks like we can sink these guys with little or no losses. Yeah, let's... Heavy cruisers did not have any anti-submarine capabilities, so yeah, that makes sense. No, let's just come over here. There we go. National. Yeah. And because we saw them come out last time, and they're pretty weak. So we're going to get these guys here. We're going to withdraw to here. Just so that they get... fairly well hammered if they come out. Okay, so we've got them trapped. Again, rain, no attacks there now. Where was it that we saw submarines moving around? Somewhere. How we need better anti-submarine warfare. Okay, well here we can... you guys can get ashore. Oh. Forgot. Shattered. Very good. Okay. Now you guys head back out to sea so they can't see where you are. How well is air protected inside of a fort? Because I don't know why they moved out of Corregidor. What do you guys think? Should I move this unit, which can still attack, try to attack that air, or come down here and attack one of these two air units? Does anybody have a good suggestion on that? Down for sure. Okay. Yeah. The main reason I was thinking about going after that one was the... yeah, more damage. But if I could take Corregidor if it's not well defended, because I don't know how well... air. And I attack that one because that would just likely do the most damage. Yeah, we'll just switch it there. Okay, so we're there. We've got that secure. Moving down there, these guys come to here. And they can't land? Well, the port is not repaired enough. Damn. Okay, back out to sea. Port's too damaged to land. Okay, okay. Port's too damaged to land in. Still need to do the old invasion style. Okay, learning all the time. Okay, so we've got that. We're sort of stuck there. Now, let's come up to China here. Okay, again, supply I'm worried about down here. Okay, so these are basically no supply. Now, and it's raining, so can't use my air power. And they've just... Let's swap this out. Put the better unit up front. Well, if we can't make headway there, let's look at some other options here. Ooh, that looks like a good one. And it's, of course, still raining. Well, they're going to be hit with supply problems. Up here, if we did have my air up here, all my air is concentrated down here, we would be able to... Yeah, a little bit of an ouch, but swap that out. Hammer them again. And yes, I'm learning to use... Okay, no supply there if I were to move them up, but... I'm still going to do it, because yes, if we can take that, very good, then that may put us into a much better supply situation here. Very good, I like that, and we'll be able to supply down that railway, very likely. Okay, so we're pushing on them. Now, again, looking for partisans. Okay, so having him here covers both those cities. Well, we are making progress, people. Progress, progress, progress. Not victory yet, though. Not victory, but progress. See, that improves it a lot. No, that doesn't look like I want to pursue that anymore. Now, did shift those units. Let's see what we can get doing a bit better. This is looking like a reinforcement turn. Okay, we're going to withdraw. They can move out of their forts and hit us if they want, but it's going to be expensive for them to repair that. They can and they will, but it's going to be expensive, which means they're not going to be doing something else with that MPP. I'm in wonder, could the Japanese have ever won in China? Okay, that's an interesting thought there, Arno. Yes, the Japanese could have won in China. But the Japanese didn't want to win in China. That may sound strange, but it's quite true. What Japan wanted to do, its strategic plan, its strategic goals, its strategic objectives was to do what they had done, well, in a way with Korea, but definitely with Manchuria up here. And of course, they renamed it into Manchukuo. I had to wonder how I wanted to label this, but in Manchuria, which has more or less been parts of China, the Manchus eventually take over at one point and become the ruling dynasty of China, and I think they're the main ones that moved the capital to Peking instead of some cities down here, but I could be wrong about that. Not great on old Chinese history. Is that they got here? This was obviously a geographical region that, you know, sort of defined whatever the border with Russia along the river here, and what is it, Amur River here, up there, and sort of nebulous out here in the, you know, the deserty steppes with Mongolia. But get a hold of here. They wanted to grab the big chunk of land. Always stretched supply, had always stretched supplies, and never enough fuel for armor divisions, and most of their tanks were hopelessly obsolete. Okay, their tanks were obsolete, very true, but compared to the tanks that they were fighting, German-supplied Panzer Is and very early model Soviet tanks, they weren't that bad. Obsolete compared to Panzer IIIs, obsolete compared to Lee Grants or Shermans, or even 1940s model, Matilda IIs and things like that. Yes, they were obsolete compared to that, but not compared to what they were seeing in China. You always have to keep that in mind. Japan has limited resources, and if your tanks are good enough and are designed for killing infantry, and they're good enough, you're going to use them, and they're going to be what they want. So Japan's goal was to get maybe just like this territory here, or some sort of territory. They wanted to take a big bite of China, and get that and have a peace treaty. They kept sending peace missions to Chiang Kai-shek. Come on, let's negotiate a peace. Let's get a negotiated peace. Let's have a negotiated peace. And it was from Chiang Kai-shek's objective. I don't know if he ever in person met with the Japanese representative, but some of the Chinese government officials did meet occasionally with Japanese diplomats. But it was never the idea of, well, what can we negotiate to get peace? Chiang Kai-shek was always, we're at war. You want peace? Leave China. Now, whether he was, in a practical sense, demanding the leaving of Manchukuo, or just leaving, going back to this sort of border here and, completely evacuating Peking and any other main area of China. If they had evacuated that, I think Chiang Kai-shek would have signed a peace agreement. But they were very much, Chiang Kai-shek was very much, nope, no peace, no peace, no peace. If you're in China, no peace. So Japan never had a plan. I'm not saying somebody in some office didn't make a plan, but nobody ever really had a plan of, this is how we're going to defeat China. They never drew up it, we need to land divisions here, we need to do, no. It was always how to make it more painful for Chiang Kai-shek, and then if it's painful enough, he will sign a peace agreement. And so they never planned on how to defeat China. That was never their goal, of defeating China as a whole. So, could they have? I think they could have, but it takes planning prior to starting the war. And of course, the war is started by mid-ranking at best officers in this area. The Peking Bridge incident, that they're and it's not the Peking Bridge incident is a one thing. It's sort of the straw that breaks the camel's back, and it's well definable. There had been hundreds, literally hundreds of border incidents along this area, often between Manchukuo forces and Chinese forces, that were constant skirmishes, people dying. I don't think in any greater numbers, and often just the tens and 20s of people dying in these constant probing. And as you can imagine, this border, there isn't a nice fence stretched out along here, or some other definable river or something. That's sort of why the Marco Polo Bridge incident stands out a bit, in that it's a definable river point crossing. But so just even people, they didn't have GPS or whatever, don't know where those troops are. Are they in Manchukuo territory that nobody is, other than China and maybe some other nation, is recognized, or whether they're in Chinese territory or whatever. So there's some of it is not like trying to be provocative. It's just simply troops engaging each other because they make contact and they both think they're in their own territory. But there was other provocative incidents. So it's a provocative incident. Japan sees this as an opportunity to get more, the Kuomintang, the army that's occupying here, not the Japanese government here, but the Japanese occupational forces governments, see it as an opportunity to grab another bite of China. And so this continues on through 38, through 39, through 40, that they're constantly, if you look in 1940 time frame, I think it's, or maybe 39, but you're seeing Japan coming down to Hainan Island down here and securing some of this. That the French are really getting in, the British to a degree, but the French are getting really worried over. And so you're seeing a, you know, what to do next and trying something a little bit more, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And that is a sort of constant feature with the war in China. So all of your, sorry, the colors, you now, we'll call you now, points are all very true. I'm not disputing any of those things. But I think had they come up with a centralized plan, come up to figure, okay, we're going to need X number of divisions, and we're going to need, you know, Y number of aircraft, and all of this elements, and what do we need to supply them, and how many trains do we need to build, because, you know, and all of that. I think they could have planned and set up to have a war with China and won it. I think they could. Obviously, this is a big what if because it's way off in a what if zone. It's not just what if you take Moscow instead of, you know, taking the Ukraine or something with the forces available. It's a longer term plan. So because they never had a plan, they never desired to take all of China, they, for their goals and their objectives, they saw this as they didn't want a huge occupation problem all at once. They wanted to get a largest chunk, potentially millions of people living in it, and get it running efficiently. Not, I don't want to say, you know, teach everybody Japanese. Make everyone Japanese, but they wanted to, you know, not like make everyone Japanese, but they wanted to get in there to where that they had good working governmental systems and similar sorts of things before moving on to the next piece. We see in the hundreds of thousands of collaborationist troops for the reorganized government of China at Nanjing. Now, most of these troops are useless, not nearly as good as the Manchukuo troops, which few good units, I believe, in the Manchukuo army, but mostly not that good. So they're mostly just useless troops that are, okay, oh yeah, there's 100 of you, you guard this railway bridge, okay, you know, and set up your bunkers and, you know, sandbag bunkers and whatnot. And okay, you got 100 guys guarding the bridge to keep the partisans from blowing it up. Yeah, they can do that. You guard this railway yard, or you guard these warehouses. Yes, they're in that kind of sort of occupational bite and digest, bite again. Absolutely, IKB, absolutely. And so, you know, but these, like I say, you know, so this idea here with the garrison, that is accurate. Giving, we can look over here, and I don't think they do, but if we look, Nanjing, if we, oh, they give them 1 corps. Okay, well, up to 3 eventually, maybe. Yeah, maybe, but I'm leery that they would even be of that sort of quality. Yeah, we're gonna press on. Ouch, that wasn't a good idea. But so, you know, and you could definitely, as success happens, I know the modern Chinese view wants to see us as a great patriotic war. It really wasn't that. There wasn't, the Chinese people have been under massive amounts of suffering for a god-awful long time. It depends on how you want to do that. Man in the High Castle offers pretty accurate what if in case of Japanese post-war events in occupied territories. Not in America, that's for sure. Misspelled the bloody host's name again. So, yeah, but America, Japan as as Admiral Yamamoto said, that if you invaded the American, continental America, you would find a rifle behind every blade of grass. Japan would have, at best, been able to sort of occupy a few cities, but their troops would be just massively. Now, the cities weren't as large as they are today down here, population-wise. California was very underpopulated before World War II, and so were Washington and Oregon. So you could put a corps or two and hold the city, maybe, but as soon as you move those corps out, the city would immediately turn over to American control. The amount of arms in America is incredible. So it is unoccupiable. So that's why I completely disagree with the man in the high castle situation for Japan and their retaliations. I think the Germans would have found it unoccupiable as well. Yes, I understand in Man in the High Castle, I've seen it. They talk, Washington, D.C. or New York, or, no, not New York, but Washington, D.C. I think was nuked. I could see that if the U.S. doesn't have nukes, and Germany, at least apparently, drops a few, and maybe apparent to the Americans that they have many more, and not just like America, didn't have many to bomb Japan. Japan didn't know that. You could get America to a negotiated peace, sort of like Vichy France, but a non, like when I say Vichy France, and that it's non-occupied by German soldiers. German observers, making sure that America isn't secretly building aircraft carriers or submarines or something that, inspectors. Yeah, I could see that as a possibility. But unless you're hypothesizing that the Americans have disarmed themselves prior to the war, like Britain and Britain, who had disarmed themselves, the populace is begging for guns from America once they lose the BEF to just arm the home guard. And so unless you're hypothesizing that, you're not seeing that kind of thing. Yeah, nukes change a lot, absolutely, but there's a big difference between nuking, you have, guerrilla tactics going on. And I know in Man in the High Castle, the sort of the Rocky Mountains are sort of the no-go zone. I don't know if they realized the Appalachians would have also been a no-go zone for German troops. And how many nukes are you going to drop on little towns where there's hardly anybody at them? And I refer you to the very good movie, Sergeant York, starring Gary Cooper, that sort of shows the primitive nature at the time. That was before World War I, but it hadn't changed a whole lot. Changed a bit, but not a whole lot for World War II, and how well armed these fairly primitive Americans were. Who's going to go in to police it? And nukes, it'd just be ungovernable. And that's sort of my point. Not that you are not going to get, the main government to stand down and surrender its carriers and surrender, whatnot, like we see in Japan. And so that's sort of the situation. And that, again, we can look at this very correctly. Japan could have been unoccupiable, and that is why the U.S. Did bomb Tokyo for sure, but did not target the Imperial Palace. The U.S. wanted a social structure in place with the emperor at its head to be able to surrender and to make that surrender stick, as it were, so you don't have serious problems occupying Japan. And by allowing the emperor to remain as the emperor while MacArthur is reshaping Japan, it means that whatever Japan is going to be on the other side of this isn't intolerable to the Japanese at the time, meaning they don't feel the need to, you know, do guerrilla campaigns just, you know, as on an individual sort of basis. So that, you know, so that's sort of what I'm talking about, kind of thing. Japan realized, or the Japanese people realized that, oh, wait a minute, we're still going to have the emperor. That means we're still going to be Japanese. We're going to be occupied. First time, that is the first time in the historical record since the Japanese people had showed up in Japan. I say that because there's the Anu people that are still around, and though birth rates aren't doing very good in Japan overall, but that are sort of the remnant of what they believe were the people inhabiting all of Japan before the sort of current ethnic, racially, whatever, Japanese have showed up in there. But that was the first time Japan had been occupied by an external power. And in its complete history, because you have the two Mongol invasion attempts that are pushed back. One of them, I think, sort of kind of gets part of one island or something, that, you know, sort of a landing zone area. And the Japanese samurai from everywhere else have a, you know, fun time of going down there and, you know, volunteering to fight the Mongols. And so that's the first time that they had seen that happen. And so it's obviously a traumatic thing for them. Oh, yeah. Yeah, oh, if you're just looking for a good dramatic story, yes. I'm the fourth and... Is it the fourth? Yeah, fourth and final season of it coming out is, you know, going to come out this year at some point. And, yeah, I'm eagerly anticipating watching it. Well, especially I would presume the Soviets want to, even though they're sort of late to the game, want to do that. And I can definitely see where people would want to. And the Emperor is responsible. The Emperor knew enough about what was going on that I'm not going to give him a pass. We're not going to go into it because we don't want to be have Twitch have problems with us. But we know that it's not just a war of aggression. Okay, mankind is filled historically with where the border is going to be of countries, and we fight over that. That is one thing, and we can talk about that. But, you know, war crime type things, the Emperor knew enough about it, and so he did not ever once hint that, like, the Nanjing situation was unacceptable, even in private, to the best of my knowledge, even in private to the military leadership, that he ever once cautioned against similar such actions. So he has a responsibility there, most assuredly. I will not give him a pass. Though I will say, I don't think he was specifically directing policies that we can see directed by Hitler for actions to happen. There is a real distinct difference between not putting the brakes on something, because if, you know, the Japanese could have gone, some of the parties, I think, in Japan could have gone to the point of having a coup against the emperor and putting a different member of the imperial family on the throne. Definitely could have gone to the point of wanting to, shall we say, put him in a box in a palace somewhere and isolate him, basically house arrest. That very well could have happened, because that's what's happened before in Japanese history. Very much down in Kyoto during, like, the Edo period and other periods, the emperor was just a guy living in a palace and really didn't have any say for what happens outside of the palace. So I could definitely see if the emperor tries to do too much that the military will not accept, that could happen. So he's not full control by any means. Not nearly the control that Mussolini, let alone Hitler, has over his military. So, you got to sort of keep all of that in mind when you're dealing with the Japanese emperor. Let me see, yeah. So Japanese history and university, and it seems like he was mostly on the outside. He has a lot of apologists, though, yes. Hello, Bluebell. So, yeah, of course, and I do believe that there are a lot of, like you say, apologists, people making excuses for him, and I'm not going to do that. Because I've recently read books from the Japanese side, some from the American sort of naval Pacific side on the war in Japan. I'm not going to like go, oh, he didn't know or he's not responsible. No, he has a responsibility. He had a lot of influence over the situation without Blue Belt. Sorry, did I say Blue Bell? Sorry, Blue Belt. A lot of influence over policy and the situation, and he definitely at times expressed his concern over, say, going to the war with the Western Allies, because he was not anti-British, that's for sure. But when things went well, like with the invasion of Singapore, he then put his approval behind it. So he knew what was going on. Yeah, oh yeah, he had informants, advisors that were relatively well plugged in. So something big, you're not going to hide from the emperor if the people that know thinks he should know. Some of his confidants, as opposed to, and his confidants aren't Tojo and his crowd. We're talking other sort of ministers and people around him. Definitely know what is going on with the war and policies. So ironic that the last Italian king lost his crown, even though El Duce was leading the de facto. Well, Hirohito got a free pass. Eventually, Tojo was acting on his own. Okay, well, the Allies did not remove the King of Italy. There was a plebiscite. I think that was pushed by the Allies. I don't know all the details around it, but Victor Emmanuel, it was basically a 49-51 or even sort of closer percent, if I remember correctly, plebiscite in Italy. Obviously, he was on the slightly losing 49%, and he was removed from office. Interesting little story. All the well-wishers. There's lots of counts in Italy now because all of the well-wishers that came to the airport were made counts. So there's what I'm going to butcher this probably, but aeroporto canto, or something like that in Italian. So that they were all made counts, and they all got just in the last sort of moment. Bakers, just anybody who showed up was made a count on his sort of leaving of Italy. It's an interesting little thing. So Tojo had the military power only starting in 41. He is, I think, in 40 becomes the war minister of war. But prior to that, he isn't. So prior to 1940, he is not in government. He is in charge of the Kempi Tai in Manchukuo and Kuomintang. In 1940, I think it is, he becomes defense minister. Only in 41, July 41, he becomes prime minister while still holding on to the defense ministry post. And so he is only responsible for the actions from that point on. And then in, I think it's late 1944, he is removed from all offices and basically put under house arrest. And I forget who, another guy becomes prime minister and war minister, and they continue to run the war. So it isn't just Tojo. America in its propaganda always focuses on Tojo, and he is definitely a villain, absolutely, but he is not the guy. He is not the Hitler. He is not the Mussolini. He is not the guy driving this situation. It is the armies, both hierarchy and mid-level army officers. Hold on a moment. I'll be just a second. Need to turn my heater off. Cold this morning. And there goes the keyboard. Sorry about that. Just a moment. Live TV. Sorry. And desk. We're not getting the picture. Oh, bloody hell. Sorry about this, people. I tripped over the cord. And you're not getting a picture. I presume you can hear me. What did I hit that made this sort of not... The keyboard decided to fall and then pushed a button that